Hello friends, welcome back to What's the Fact. I hope you are doing good there. Kindly comment your opinions on this topic, why people are not respecting beliefs of fellow people. They are also like you, right? Why are you hurting your fellow humans? Does it appreciated by so-called beliefs, which you are following? Why I am talking about beliefs? Let's see what happened in 1979. 200 gunmen had attacked Mecca's Grand Mosque in 1979. It shocked the Muslim world. Around 45 years ago, Juhayman al-Utaybi, a Saudi religious dissident, decimated this strict rule as he stormed and besieged the Masjid al-Haram or the Grand Mosque in Mecca, violating the sanctity of one of Islam's holiest places. Here's the story of what happened on that fateful day. The holy cities of Mecca and Medina in Saudi Arabia are revered by Muslims across all sects and denominations from all over the world, especially because these cities are closely linked to the life of Prophet Muhammad. Waging war or even carrying weapons inside the holy sanctuary where the holy Kaaba is located is strictly forbidden and even considered a great sin in Islam. Direct challenge to Saudi king. Experts who have researched the incident assert that the Saudi leadership were initially unable to realize the gravity of the occupation of Mecca's Grand Mosque and lacked seriousness about mounting a response. At the time of the siege, then Saudi Crown Prince Fahd bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud was on a tour of Tunisia. Whole Prince Abdullah was touring Morocco. As the news of the incident broke, Saudi police arrived at the Grand Mosque but were greeted with a hail of bullets by the besiegers and had to run away to save their lives. The assault on the Saudi police, information about the type of weapons wielded by the attackers, and the manner in which they opened fire on the corpse, finally made the Saudi leadership realize that things had gone terribly wrong. Who was Juhayman al-Utaybi? Born in Al-Sajir in Saudi Arabia's Al-Qasim province, Juhayman al-Utaybi belonged to a Bedouin tribe, Ikhwan, a preeminent tribe in the Najd region. Several members of Juhayman's had taken part in the Battle of Sabillah during the Ikhwan uprising against Saudi King Abdul-Jej, including his father and grandfather. Members of Juhayman's tribe believed that the Saudi royals had violated the sanctity of the original religious principles as laid down by Prophet Muhammad. Growing up, Juhayman struggled to write fluently but loved to read religious texts. Later, he served Saudi Arabian National Guard from 1955 to 1973. After his service, Juhayman moved to Medina where he joined the local chapter of a hardline Islamist group known as Al-Jama al-Salafiyya al-Muhtasiba, and soon gained a considerable amount of followers as a religious preacher. Juhayman al-Utaybi was sentenced to death by Saudi authorities for his role in the siege of the Grand Mosque and subsequently executed by beheading on 9 January 1980. Bloody Rescue Operation. The Saudi regime and the kingdom's law enforcement agencies soon realized that the siege had been carefully planned and it would not be an easy task to remove the militants from the Grand Mosque and rescue the hostages. Eyewitnesses narrating the horrifying ordeal revealed how water had begun to run out, triggering panic among the hostages. Even as the rotting bodies of worshippers and attackers lay in the courtyard and different parts of the mosque for days. Ultimately, the siege ended on 4 December 1979 after the Saudi army and other security agencies killed the majority of the attackers and captured the rest, including the leader, Juhayman al-Utaybi. A massive operation was launched as special forces, paratroopers, armored units, along with the Saudi police cordoned off the area around the mosque, but the task was monumental due to the sheer size of the Grand Mosque, which has long corridors measuring hundreds of meters in length, and numerous buildings around the Kaaba, all of which had been occupied by Utayba and his followers, who were armed to the teeth. For the first 2 days, Saudi forces could not even go near the mosque as the attackers showered bullets on them from strategic positions, which was retaliated, turning one of Islam's holiest sanctuaries into a ragging war zone. On day 6 of the operation, the Saudi security forces managed to capture the courtyard of the mosque as well as the surrounding building, weakening the attackers' grip on the premises and forcing them to hide inside rooms and other small chambers as many of them were gunned down. The Siege of Mecca's Grand Mosque. On 20 November 1979, Juhayman al-Utaybi, a Saudi religious dissident and a former soldier, led over 200 armed gunmen as they took over and besieged the Grand Mosque of Mecca and held it under siege for 2 weeks. The incident not only shook the entire Muslim world, but created shockwaves globally as widespread bloodshed took place during the siege period. Al-Utaybi, a former soldier-turned-religious preacher, was a vehement critic of the Saudi royal family and had amassed a considerable following over the years. On the fateful day of 20th November 1979, at the beginning of Muharram, the first month in the Islamic calendar, al-Utaybi, along with his followers, stormed the holy mosque, took worshippers hostage, and besieged the premises. According to details, around 50,000 people had gathered in the massive complex of the holy Kaaba for Fajr, morning, prayers. However, the worshippers had no clue as to what awaited them. Soon after the prayers began, al-Utaybi, and around 200 of his followers, had joined the worshippers, and as the prayers concluded, Juhayman stepped out, pushed the imam, prayer leader, aside, and ordered people to stay put as his followers opened nearby coffins, revealing a massive cache of weapons they had smuggled prior to the act. al-Utaybi and his followers armed themselves and held the people at gunpoint, as the 40-year-old controversial religious took the microphone, asking the hostages to cooperate, claiming that he and his men were doing this to save the Kaaba and Saudi Arabia from the unrighteous. Even though the attackers warned people not to run away or risk being shot, people tried to get away as they attempted to flee the mosque premises. However, the gunmen opened fire and within an hour, succeeded in taking over the entire complex. The armed attackers climbed the minarets, barred all the doors, thus beginning the bloody siege which lasted for nearly 2 weeks. Thank you, think positive, be healthy, be happy, live long and see you again.